Like, share, subscribe. Buy some silver, some platinum, some crystallized osmium. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. And let's see what this dude has to say. I've worried about this for quite some time.
The Supreme Court now says it's not a crime for regular marijuana users to own guns. It's one of several Second Amendment cases before the court this session. And Washington correspondent Gabrielle Caracciolo breaks down the unanimous ruling.
In this case, a Texas gun owner faced criminal gun charges after admitting he regularly used marijuana. All 9 Supreme Court justices agreed that violated his Second Amendment rights.
Overall, I think it's a good result.
The federal law at issue was meant to keep guns away from dangerous people. It makes it a crime for someone who is an unlawful user of or is addicted to any controlled substance to possess a firearm. Until now, that included regular marijuana users.
There was no element of having to prove that this person was dangerous, that they were under the influence of the substance while using a firearm or around firearms.
Adam Kraut is the executive director of the Second Amendment Foundation.
If somebody is a medical marijuana card holder and uses medical marijuana, that the government can't just simply say, you're prohibited from being able to defend your family and yourself.
The court's ruling rejected the claim that anyone who uses marijuana is a danger to others, but acknowledged that, quote, drugs and guns can sometimes make for a dangerous mix. Gun control groups are pointing out how narrow the ruling is.
The Supreme Court justices took a fair amount of pains to talk about marijuana as separate and apart from other drugs.
Chris Brown is the president of Brady United Against Gun Violence.
The reason why I'm bringing this in particular start to this is they're talking about marijuana and the constitutionality of stopping people from owning guns. The reason why this in particular thing, and they just said the Supreme Court separated marijuana from other drugs, because I've done reports. Marijuana is fixing to be 100% legal nationwide. States can do what they want, but federally it's going to be a class 3 misdemeanor here by the end of this year. And that's why I brought this to you, to show you that that's the trend. It's a fact. Invest in marijuana stocks, they're going to go up.
She's okay with the decision.
There's no expansion that we see here of rights for those who are potentially dangerous.
The narrow ruling did not address the legality of prosecuting drug addicts for possessing a gun. At the Supreme Court, Gabrielle Caracciolo, News Nation, Washington.
There you go. That tells you about that. Now I'm going to show you some other crap I got. Let's see here. Share screen. Oh, this one's cool. I like this one. I'll have to go back to the beginning because I already watched it, obviously.
Manufacturer recently introduced a new concept vehicle called Corleo, a machine designed not only to traverse all terrains, but also to redefine the very idea of mobility.
Have you ever imagined that one day, instead of sitting behind the wheel of a car or holding the handlebars of a motorcycle, you would climb onto the back of a 4-legged machine and let it carry you across roads that no car or motorcycle could ever reach? It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But in April 2025, at the Osaka Kansai International Expo, one of the most legendary motorcycle brands in the world did something almost nobody saw coming. Kawasaki, the name tied to roaring ninja bikes on racetracks, stepped onto the stage not with a new motorcycle, not with a next-generation electric vehicle, but with a hydrogen-powered robot horse. Its name is Corleo, and it is not just an impressive...
Oh my God, I hope I live long enough to own one of these. This thing looks bad as hell.
...engineering stunt designed to grab headlines. This is a statement about the future of personal mobility, about the role of clean energy in transportation, and about how the line between living creatures and machines is slowly starting to disappear. But what is really underneath that stunning exterior? Is Corleo a real step forward for humanity, or just a polished tech performance? What is Kawasaki aiming for by moving from motorcycles to machine horses? And more importantly, will something like this ever show up on real roads in our lifetime? Those are exactly the questions we are going to break down today, layer by layer. Before we get into the story, if you enjoy deep dive videos about technology, next generation vehicles, and the future of energy, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. We
encourage you
upload
to
new
do that.
videos
I'm
every
gonna-
week, and you do not want to miss what's coming next. The world is changing, and transportation is facing a quiet revolution. Let's start with the big picture, because to understand why Corleo matters so much, you need to see the larger problem it is trying to solve. We are living in an era where electric vehicles are being praised as the future of transportation. Tesla, Rivian, Ford with the Phone 150 Lightning, all of them are moving toward a world without exhaust fumes from internal combustion engines. And that is a real trend. There's no denying it. But there is one problem that not everyone talks about. Electric vehicles, no matter how advanced they become, are still limited by something extremely basic: 4 round wheels and flat roads. About 40% of the Earth's land surface has no paved roads. High mountains, swamps, remote rural areas, disaster-stricken zones. All of these places are massive blind spots for the entire modern transportation industry. No matter how beautiful a Tesla Model 3 looks, it will get stuck the moment its wheels touch uneven terrain. Even the most expensive off-road vehicles have their limits. This is the gap that humans filled for thousands of years with one thing: the horse. Horses do not need roads. Horses climb mountains, cross streams, move through wet mud. Horses sense the terrain and adjust every single step. And throughout human history, from ancient wars to polar expeditions, no vehicle has ever fully replaced the flexibility of a horse on difficult terrain. But in 2025, Kawasaki asked a bold question: if we cannot truly replace the horse, why not build a machine that moves like one? But to understand why that matters so much, we need to look at the core of the whole story, how the machine itself actually works. What is Corleo, and why is it different from anything we have seen before? When Kawasaki first revealed Corleo at the Osaka Kansai Expo, a lot of people...
I tell you what, man, a lot of small towns and cities will probably be liking this a lot, because imagine not having to repair roads and only have the federal and the state do state roads and federal highways, and then you just take your horse, your hydrogen-powered Kawasaki horse, wherever the hell you're on your second floor apartment, boom, jump right out second floor. That thing should be able to handle it. This is some seriously cool stuff.
People reacted with stunned silence, not because it was unimpressive. Actually, it was the opposite. It was so different from anything a traditional vehicle brand had ever done. Corleo is a 4-legged robot that can carry a human rider. That is the shortest way to describe it. But that alone is not enough to capture what has really been created here. Picture this. You sit on a saddle, one that feels very familiar, almost like a Kawasaki motorcycle seat, with your hands on the handlebars and your feet placed on pedals that can be adjusted based on the rider's height. But underneath you, there are no wheels. There are 4 mechanical legs. And those legs are moving rhythmically, constantly, in a way you would expect from a living creature, not a machine. Each leg works independently. That part is extremely important. Unlike typical 4-legged robots, where the legs are coordinated by a rigid algorithm, each leg on Corleo can sense and adjust on its own based on the surface it is touching. If the front left leg lands on slippery rock, it automatically adjusts its force and angle so it does not slide, while the other 3 legs keep doing their job normally. Corleo's feet are made from a special rubber material. Not round wheels, not hard metal, but a soft contact surface that can absorb shock and grip the ground. Inspired by the hooves of mountain climbing animals like antelopes or mountain goats, this design allows Corleo to stay stable even on steep slopes, rough rock, or muddy terrain. But the most interesting part is not the legs. It is how you control it. There are no complicated buttons, no touchscreen, no remote control. Corleo responds to your body. When you lean forward, it speeds up. When you lean left, it turns left. When you keep your body upright and gently pull the handlebar, it slows down and stops. According to people who experienced it at the expo, it feels almost like riding a real horse, but without requiring years of horse riding training. The center handlebar has a small display that shows 3 important pieces of information: how much hydrogen is left in the tank, the balance status of the entire machine, and the rider's weight distribution. This is not extra information for show. It is real-time data that the machine needs in order to operate properly. And at night, the integrated lighting system automatically illuminates the surface in front of each step, helping the artificial intelligence analyze the terrain more effectively while also keeping the rider safer in the dark. The entire body frame is made from a combination of ultra-light carbon fiber and durable alloy. The result is a machine strong enough to handle harsh terrain, but not so heavy that it becomes a burden to itself. At first, this may sound like just a smart design, but one small detail could change the entire game, and that detail is inside Corleo's power source. The secret is in the hydrogen tank. Why this is not a normal electric robot. This is the part that most articles about Corleo either skip over or only mention briefly. But this is actually the real difference, the factor that could determine whether Corleo becomes a true breakthrough or just a beautiful concept product that never reaches the market. Corleo runs on hydrogen, not lithium-ion batteries, not gasoline, hydrogen. Inside the machine's body is a compact hydrogen tank about 150 centimeters long. The hydrogen is sent into a fuel cell where it reacts with oxygen from the air to create electricity. That electricity powers 4 independent electric motors in the 4 legs. The only byproduct of the entire process is water, clean water, with no harmful emissions. Now, you might ask, why not use a normal battery like a Tesla? The answer comes down to 2 words: energy density. Lithium-ion batteries are heavy, very heavy. To provide enough electricity for 4 robotic legs to keep operating on rough terrain for hours, you would need a battery pack so large that it would become a weight and balance problem on its own.
I tell you what, bro, research, Hobson, research, I did a video on it as well. What's the name of that? Cummins diesel, the Cummins diesel engine. They no longer make the Cummins diesel engine. They actually have made a natural gas powered engine that can be converted to a hydrogen fuel cell as soon as the hydrogen fuel cells become more frequent along their routes that their trucks that normally use. The only reason they didn't go full hydrogen right now is there's not enough depots for hydrogen. There's more depots for natural gas. So the Cummins diesel engine is now a Cummins natural gas hydrogen engine. It's the way of the future. Sorry people don't know about it, but the largest diesel engine producer in the world has already converted.
Hydrogen, on the other hand, has much higher energy density by weight than batteries, meaning that for the same amount of weight, you can store significantly more energy. For a machine that needs to move flexibly, constantly balance itself on uneven surfaces, and carry a human rider, being lighter is absolutely critical. Hydrogen helps Corleo do that, but more importantly, there's also a long-term strategic reason. Kawasaki is not new to hydrogen. The company has been investing in this technology for years. In 2022, Kawasaki became the first company in the world to complete an international liquid hydrogen shipment using a dedicated carrier from Australia to Japan on a vessel called Suiso Frontier. That was a historic milestone in the clean energy industry. And it shows that hydrogen is not some random experiment for Kawasaki. It is a strategic direction they prepared for early on. They've also developed hydrogen motorcycles and fuel cell systems before, so Corleo is not a sudden leap into unknown territory. It is the natural convergence of 2 strengths that Kawasaki has been building for decades: robotics and hydrogen energy.
Yep.
And when you put those 2 strengths into one product, the result is something that can operate where both electric vehicles and gasoline vehicles struggle while producing 0 pollution. But no matter how exciting a technology is, it does not mean much unless it can overcome the very real challenges standing in its way. The real challenges Corleo has to face. Let's be honest about something that many hype-driven tech videos tend to avoid. Corleo, right now, is still a prototype, and the gap between an impressive prototype at an expo and a real product available to the mass market, that gap is very, very deep.
Yes,
First, hydrogen cost and infrastructure. This is probably the biggest problem. For Corleo to work in everyday life,
again, like I said, hydrogen infrastructure. The reason why Cummins diesel didn't go for a pure hydrogen engine is because the infrastructure for hydrogen is not as good as it is for natural gas. So they made their new Cummins, quote, diesel, non-diesel engine, natural gas powered, because of the viability and availability of it in the ecosystem that's here now. But when hydrogen takes that place and is a front runner. Cummins diesel will be hydrogen engines, and the price will be a lot lower.
Users need places to refuel hydrogen. Right now, the number of hydrogen stations in the United States is extremely limited, and most of them are concentrated in California. Unlike electricity, which you can charge at home through a wall outlet, hydrogen requires specialized, expensive, and complex infrastructure. Second, the technical complexity of carrying a person. Getting a four-legged robot to walk stably is already a huge engineering achievement. Boston Dynamics spent years making Spot able to move across rough terrain without falling. But adding a human rider on top with dynamic weight and a constantly shifting center of gravity is a completely different challenge. Every movement from the rider affects the balance of the whole system. Solving that in real time, continuously, for hours on changing terrain that requires extremely advanced hardware and top-level control.
I don't have it queued up to show you guys, but Hydrodynamics, the company he's talking about right now, I've actually seen their robots. They can do backflips. They can do a flip off of one stair to a lower stair. So they've got all that handled. They just need to take all these technologies and put them together, and this thing will come together rather fast. And with a little quantum computer inside it, it'll take care of all of the issues of the balancing and stuff like that. And that's just around the corner too. So it might be here by 2040, maybe.
Control algorithms. Third, speed and operating time. Kawasaki has not released any official technical specifications for Corleo's top speed, range, or operating duration. That does not necessarily mean the numbers are bad, but it does mean we do not yet have enough data to properly judge how practical this product really is. A real horse can run 25 miles per hour and keep going for hours. Can Corleo compete with that? Fourth, safety and regulation. A four-legged machine that carries a person and moves across any kind of terrain does not fit into any existing transportation rulebook. In the United States, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration regulates wheeled motor vehicles. The Federal Aviation Administration regulates flying devices. But Corleo does not belong to any category that currently exists. To bring it to the mass market, Kawasaki would need years of negotiation with regulators, a new legal framework, and a long list of safety tests that have never been done before. Fifth, price. Industrial four-legged robots like Boston Dynamics Spot cost around $75,000. Corleo, with a more complex hydrogen system and much higher safety requirements because it has to carry a person, will need a long time before its cost comes down to a level that makes sense for individual consumers. Kawasaki has been pretty honest about this. They have said they expect machines similar to Corleo could become common around the middle of the 21st century, meaning sometime in the 2050s. That is not a 5-year plan. That is a 3-decade vision. And this is where the race becomes even more intense, because Kawasaki is not the only company trying to dominate the future of wheelless mobility. Who else is in this race, and where does Kawasaki stand? To understand Corleo's position in the bigger picture, we need to look at the competitors and the different directions being pursued at the same time. Boston Dynamics is impossible to ignore when we talk about four-legged robots. Spot is currently one of the most advanced four-legged robots being used in real-world environments, at construction sites, in infrastructure inspections, and even in dangerous situations. But Spot is not designed to carry people. It is an industrial and inspection robot, not a personal vehicle. Atlas Spot's two-legged sibling is even more impressive as an engineering performance, but it is also not a rideable vehicle. Corleo is filling a gap that Boston Dynamics has not targeted. A four-legged robot designed for humans to ride across natural terrain. China's Unitree Robotics is also building four-legged robots and at much lower prices than Boston Dynamics. But similarly,
I've been keeping up with robot technology because I've seen a robot they used to replace iron workers, and they've got a long ways to go. But with robot technology, my job's going to be gone within 20 years as well, because a robot will replace it. So this robot horse thingy probably will come around.
They do not yet have a product in the rideable personal mobility category. Hyundai, the parent company of Boston Dynamics since 2021, has the resources and strategic direction to combine robotics with automotive mobility. In the long run, Hyundai may become Kawasaki's most serious potential competitor. And when it comes to hydrogen, this is where Kawasaki has a clearer advantage. Toyota has had success with the Mirai, a hydrogen-powered sedan, but in the field of specialized mobility and robotics, Kawasaki is ahead. Hyundai also has hydrogen trucks and is expanding into other applications. But no one has combined hydrogen with a rideable robot in the way Corleo does. What makes this interesting is that Kawasaki is not just competing in one field. They are creating an entirely new product category 1 where, at least for the next few years, they may not have any direct competitors. But that is also a double-edged sword. If there are no competitors, there's also no one to share the cost of building the infrastructure. And if Kawasaki moves too slowly, someone else could step in and take over that space before the market even fully forms. So in the end, the biggest question remains. Does Corleo really have the power to change the future, or will it just become a beautiful prototype sitting in an engineering museum? What would Corleo change if it succeeds? Let's put the challenges aside for a moment and run a thought experiment. If Kawasaki solves all of these technical and commercial problems, what happens? What would Corleo's real impact on the world be? Application 1 is rescue and disaster response. This is what many robotics experts see as the most important near-term use case. When an earthquake destroys infrastructure, when floods cut off roads, when a landslide blocks access to a mountain village,
those are 3 dynamic points for this thing to come out for search and rescue and aid and stuff like that, which will also bring it to the forefront a lot quicker.
Is exactly when a machine like Corleo could prove its value in a way no other vehicle can. No road needed, no bridge needed. Just a surface it can place its feet on and Corleo can move. It could deliver medicine, emergency equipment, and even carry injured people out of danger zones. Application 2 is mountain agriculture and forestry. Across the United States, there are thousands of farms in hard-to-reach terrain places where tractors cannot go, where farmers still rely on horses or manual labor. If Corleo can be developed to carry a reasonable cargo load, it could become a real working tool for those communities and do it without gasoline and without the complicated maintenance of an internal combustion engine. Application 3 is ecotourism. Imagine a nature reserve where tourists can explore without using smoky jeeps. Corleo runs on hydrogen and creates no pollution. It is gentler on the terrain than wheels, and it offers a totally different experience, closer to nature, quieter, and much more unique. This could become a premium travel segment for people willing to pay for unusual experiences. Application 4 is military and security. This is an application Kawasaki has not officially talked about, but it is hard to avoid when analyzing the technology. A vehicle that produces no exhaust, moves quietly, crosses terrain wheeled vehicles cannot handle, and carries a soldier along with equipment. That combination is obviously attractive to the military. Some defense experts have mentioned this potential, but again, this is only speculation. Kawasaki has not revealed any official plans in that area. Then there is the impact on the vehicle and robotics markets. If Corleo succeeds, it could trigger a wave of investment and development in rideable robotic mobility. We could see startups focused on wheelless vehicles, traditional automakers redirecting resources, and most importantly, the growth of better, cheaper, and more accessible hydrogen infrastructure. Because once hydrogen is not just for sedans, but also for robots and off-road mobility, the economic reason to build hydrogen refueling infrastructure becomes much stronger. There's also the impact on how consumers see hydrogen.
That statement he just made with the statement I made about Cummins diesel engine waiting to do hydrogen power, they're actually have already built, and if you do research on it, they've already built their new Cummins engine to take natural gas, but as soon as hydrogen infrastructure increases, which they will switch over to hydrogen, and there'll be no infrastructure, no modifications needed on the Cummins engine to switch from natural gas to hydrogen. It's just a matter of distribution outlets. So Cummins engines is already pushing and helping in the hydrogen distribution and sources to get hydrogen along trucking routes anyhow. So that'll help push this for Kawasaki as well. So other industries are already pushing in this direction. Like he just said, it's already happening.
This may be the most subtle effect, but it is no less important. Right now, for most American consumers, hydrogen still feels abstract, a future technology they have heard about but never really experienced. Toyota Mirai is trying to change that, but a sedan is still too familiar to create a strong emotional reaction. Corleo, with its strange shape, lifelike movement, and completely different riding experience, might do what Mirai could not: make people genuinely curious and excited about hydrogen as an energy source. And Kawasaki, where do they fit into all of this? Kawasaki Heavy Industries is not just a motorcycle company. It is a major industrial group with annual revenue of more than 1 trillion Japanese yen. It is active in aerospace, producing parts for Boeing, including fuselage sections, doors, and wings. It designs and builds Shinkansen trains and metro systems for New York and Washington, D.C. It works in energy, shipbuilding, and precision engineering. And since 1968, it has been the first Japanese company to enter the field of industrial robotics, partnering with Unimation, the world's first industrial robot manufacturer. In other words,
they're set to run this project.
When Kawasaki bets on a technology, it's not just acting on temporary excitement. It is betting with the resources, experience, and infrastructure of a company that has existed for nearly 130 years. Its Hinotori surgical robot is already being used in real hospitals to support minimally invasive surgery. Corleo is being developed alongside humanoid robotics projects designed to work in dangerous environments in place of humans. This is not a company trying to impress the internet with one viral video. This is a company building the future in a very Japanese way, slowly, systematically, and with a long-term vision. We've gone through a long journey from a simple question about Kawasaki's robot horse to the bigger picture of an industry being reshaped.
So what do y'all think about that? Yeah? I found that very interesting. Let's see what else I got for you here. Are you taking off, Hobson? That is wild, man. I'll bring you some crazy shit, but it's going to happen. And check this out. This will make you look at anthills in a whole new way, bro. You really, really need to pay attention to this one. It's 3 anthills are ignored by everyone, but they are filled with diamonds and other rare gems.
Right now is real footage. A man sorting rough diamonds on a white table. And then, out of nowhere, an ant shows up, grabs one of those diamonds, and just starts walking away with it. The guy can't believe what he's seeing. He puts everything down and pulls out his camera. And look at the size of that diamond compared to the ant carrying it. So that raises the obvious question: why would an ant steal a diamond? Well, here's something most people don't know. To an ant, a diamond isn't valuable. It's not precious, it's not rare, it's just a rock. A useful one. Ants build their colonies with whatever hard material they can find underground, and if a diamond happens to be sitting there, it goes in the pile just like everything else. No monetary value, just structural value. But that raises a much more interesting question. Could the ants in your area actually lead you straight to diamonds? The answer is, it depends. It depends on the species, how deep they dig, and most importantly, where that colony is located. Because finding ants near a gemstone deposit without knowing what to look for is completely useless. The good news, though, is that you don't need to dig anything up yourself. You don't need to disturb a single mound. Everything that can be prospected is already sitting on the surface, placed there by the ants themselves. And that's exactly what this video is about. Which ant species in the United States dig deep enough to bring valuable mineral fragments to the surface? What geological signs tell you that a mound is worth examining? And how this same logic applies not just to diamonds and precious stones like opals, rubies, and sapphires, but also to gold and other valuable metals found in nature. So stick with me until the end, because the last part of this video will permanently change the way you look at the ground beneath your feet. So let's start with the basic question that makes all of this make sense. How does an ant colony become a natural sample collector from minerals buried deep underground? When ants build their mounds, they don't just grab whatever is sitting on the surface. Many species excavate tunnels that go anywhere from 3 to 15 feet below ground. And some documented colonies in dry, rocky environments have been found at depths exceeding 20 feet. Every grain of soil, every tiny rock fragment, every mineral particle that gets removed from those tunnels ends up deposited on the surface of the mound, which means that over years of construction, what you're looking at when you see an anthill isn't just a pile of dirt, it's a natural core sample. It's essentially a compressed version of everything that exists beneath the ground at that exact location, brought up inch by inch by millions of tiny workers over years, sometimes decades, of continuous excavation. This is not speculation. In 2014, researchers from the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization in Australia, led by geochemist Aaron Stewart, published findings showing that ant and termite mounds in mineral-rich regions contained measurable concentrations of gold, copper, nickel, and even fragments of the volcanic rock responsible for bringing diamonds to the surface, in concentrations significantly higher than the surrounding soil. The reason is straightforward. As colonies dig deeper, they pass through underground layers that surface exploration can't easily reach, and they physically transport particles from those layers up to where you can see and collect them. What made Stewart's research particularly striking was the discovery that the insects themselves accumulate these minerals internally. Metals like gold and nickel concentrate in the digestive and excretory systems of ants as they process soil particles, and over time, those residues mix back into the mound material. So when you collect a sample from an anthill, you're not just getting soil, you're getting a chemically enriched mix of everything the colony has moved through, sometimes over decades of continuous excavation. And here's what makes this relevant beyond a research lab. You don't need a spectrometer or a laboratory to start applying this logic in the field. What you need is to know which ant species dig deep enough to be useful indicators and what signs in the landscape tell you the area has real potential. Because without the right geology underneath, no amount of ant activity is going to lead you to anything valuable. The ants are the tool, but knowing where to use that tool is everything. So let's talk about the 3 ant species found in the United States that are most relevant for anyone interested in this kind of natural prospecting. Each one has different digging behavior, different habitat preferences, and different implications for what you might find near their colonies. The first one is the Western harvester ant, scientifically known as Pogonomyrmex occidentalis. This species is extremely common across the western United States. You'll find them from the Great Plains all the way through the desert Southwest, including states like Colorado, Wyoming, New Mexico, Arizona, and Nevada. And when it comes to depth, these are the real heavyweights. Studies published in environmental entomology journals have documented Pogonomyrmex colonies with tunnels reaching between 8 and 15 feet below the surface, with some colonies in dry, stable soils going even deeper. 15 feet underground is not just dirt, that's geological territory. In certain parts of the American West, that's the depth where you start passing through rock layers formed under completely different conditions millions of years ago, carrying minerals that have never been touched by rain, roots, or human tools. These ants build clean, well-organized tunnel systems, and the mounds they produce are large, flat, and often several feet in diameter with a cleared area around them, almost like a landing zone. The material they bring to the surface is remarkably varied. You'll find seeds, organic debris, and most importantly for our purposes, mineral fragments of all sizes mixed into the mound structure. In regions of Colorado and Wyoming near documented geological formations that host diamonds, harvester ant mounds have been reported to contain dark red and orange rounded grains, natural indicator minerals that tell geologists something valuable might be buried nearby, along with small green crystals and dark heavy flakes with a metallic sheen that don't match anything on the surrounding surface. If you're walking through the dry grasslands or high desert of the western states and you spot one of these large, cleared mounds, it's always worth crouching down and spending a few minutes looking carefully at what the ants have deposited there. A simple hand lens, or even just good natural light, is all you need to start separating mineral fragments by color, weight, and shine. The second species worth knowing is the red imported fire ant, Solenopsis invicta. Now, before you back away from the screen, yes, these are the ones that bite, and yes, you need to be careful around them. But from a geological standpoint, they're genuinely fascinating, and understanding how they work can open up a completely different region of the country for you. Fire ants are found across the southeastern United States, from Texas and Oklahoma through Georgia, the Carolinas, and Florida. They're aggressive excavators, building mounds that can reach 2 feet in height and spread several feet across at the base, with tunnel networks that branch in every direction underground. Now, it's worth being upfront here. Fire ants don't dig as deep as harvester ants. Most Solenopsis invicta colonies excavate to somewhere between 5 and 10 feet below the surface, with the main chambers concentrated in the first 4 to 5 feet. Some colonies, in well-drained sandy soils of southern Texas, get closer to 10 feet, but that's not the standard. What matters, though, is that even 4 to 5 feet is more than enough to reach mineralogically relevant layers in geologically favorable environments. In areas across the southeastern states where ancient metamorphic rock formations sit close to the surface, that depth puts fire ant colonies in direct contact with material that surface observation alone would never reveal. You don't need to reach 50 feet to find something interesting. You just need to be in the right place. Research from Texas A&M University has shown that fire ant colonies in certain mineral-rich soils of East Texas and the Gulf Coastal Plain concentrate heavy minerals in their mounds at measurable levels above background, including dark metallic grains and dense black particles that point to specific geological environments. And those environments happen to be the same ones associated with the formation of rubies and sapphires. So if you're in the southeastern states and you come across a fire ant mound in an area with exposed rock outcrops nearby, it's worth taking a careful, safe look at the material on the surface of that mound, from a respectful distance, using a stick or a small trowel rather than your bare hands. Collect a small handful of the mound material into a Ziploc bag, take it somewhere comfortable, and then examine it under good light. Small, dark, heavy grains with a slight metallic sheen are worth keeping and investigating further.
Interesting.
The third species is the black carpenter ant, Camponotus pennsylvanicus, and this one works differently from the others. Carpenter ants don't build the classic dome-shaped mounds you picture when you think of an anthill. Instead, they excavate tunnels through decaying wood, and in rocky terrain, directly into the soil between rock formations. They're quieter about it, less dramatic in appearance, but their distribution makes them extremely relevant. Carpenter ants are found across a huge portion of the eastern United States, with a particularly strong presence throughout the Appalachian mountain range. And the Appalachians happen to be one of the most gemologically rich regions in the entire country.
Interesting.
Documented occurrences of sapphires in North Carolina, garnets throughout Virginia and Pennsylvania, and several other precious minerals in multiple states along this range make it a region that any serious gem hunter should pay attention to. What makes carpenter ants useful here is their habit of nesting in rocky hillsides and mixed soil rock environments. When they tunnel through the interface between decomposed surface rock and deeper intact formations, they bring up mineral fragments from exactly that boundary zone, which is often where the most interesting material concentrates. Old, well-established carpenter ant colonies in rocky Appalachian terrain can deposit fragments at the surface that give you real clues about what the local geology is doing just a few feet down.
Isn't that just freaking interesting, though, huh? Freaking ants can tell you, at least in the southeast, that's where all the, well, the first ant he mentioned was in the west, Midwest. But regardless of that, all three of them are down in the southeast. And you can just go hiking and, knowing this knowledge, be able to maybe find yourself a spot to do some prospecting. Let's see here. Let me get on the right show here. Let me get rid of this. That's a silver gem with 2 pieces on the inside for crystallized osmium. It's not perfected yet. I got to do a little bit more to the pour. But let's see. There we go. You can see the facets. That's what I'm working on. There's going to be 2 pieces of crystallized osmium. This stuff right here. That's what I've been working on. I'm perfecting that. Figured I'll just show y'all real quick. Now let's get back to some more interesting crap to show you. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. I've been talking about this a while. Here's some more proof beyond proof. This is from NASA. Space News. Nuclear spacecraft is coming. Hot damn, I knew that, but it's nice for them to validate that my previous videos are actually factual. A little intro music.
NASA just quietly greenlit something wild, a nuclear-powered Mars ship called Space Reactor 1 Freedom, aiming to fly before 2029. Not a crewed mission, not yet, but a full-scale test of a fission reactor driving electric thrusters into deep space, carrying a swarm of Mars helicopters as payload. If this works, does it turn Mars missions into regular cargo runs? And who else follows once nuclear engines leave Earth for good? In this video, we're diving into the plan, the risks, and what nobody's saying out loud. Let's get started. NASA's newest Mars announcement isn't a crewed landing or a shiny new rover. It's a question. Can a nuclear-powered ship quietly push its way across deep space and actually work outside the lab? The mission is called Space Reactor 1 Freedom, and on paper it sounds almost simple. A compact fission reactor rides to orbit, switches on in deep space, and starts feeding electricity into high-efficiency thrusters that nudge the spacecraft toward Mars. Slow at first, then steadily building speed over months instead of minutes. No dramatic launch burn, no screaming plumes, just a continuous electric push that trades raw power for endurance and fuel economy. If that sounds more like an interplanetary freight engine than a classic rocket, that's exactly the point. Mission SR-1 Freedom won't carry astronauts. It's expected to haul a technology payload nicknamed Skyfall, swarms of small Mars helicopters meant to scout terrain that rovers might never safely reach, from cliff faces to rubble fields. But the real experiment is the ship itself. Future crews will need more than one capsule and a flag. They'll need cargo runs, habitats, power stations, comms relays, return mission hardware. If nuclear electric propulsion can move that mass more efficiently than chemical rockets alone, the entire Mars architecture changes. Of course, flying a fission reactor is nothing like bolting on a plutonium battery. Reactors bring shielding, heat rejection, fault modes, launch approval politics, and a long list of what-if scenarios that have killed concepts before they left the PowerPoint stage. The SR-1 Freedom is where all of that either stays theory or finally gets stress tested in the real solar system. Mars missions aren't just a distance problem. They're a time, mass, and human survival problem, and that's why nuclear propulsion keeps sneaking back into NASA's long-term plans. Chemical rockets are unbeatable for the violent first act of any mission, punching out of Earth's gravity well. But once you're in deep space, Every extra kilogram of propellant you carry to go faster makes the entire mission heavier, more expensive, and harder to design. For crews, the clock is brutal. The longer a ship drifts between planets, the more radiation quietly accumulates in their bodies, and the more months their bones and muscles spend weakening in microgravity. Cutting transit time isn't just a convenience, it's a medical strategy. That's why nuclear thermal propulsion, reactors heating hydrogen to create a far more efficient rocket exhaust, is so attractive for future crew transports, potentially trimming months off a round trip to Mars. SR-1. Freedom, though, is about the other half of the equation, nuclear electric propulsion. Here, the reactor doesn't blast propellant directly. It quietly generates electricity, and that power feeds high-efficiency ion thrusters that whisper out charged particles for months or years. Tiny thrust, enormous endurance. Perfect for cargo, not for a sprinting crew. Imagine a layered Mars campaign built around that split. Slow nuclear electric freighters pushing habitats, food, rovers, and return hardware ahead of time. And faster, possibly nuclear thermal, crew vehicles following later on leaner, shorter journeys. Even then, nuclear propulsion doesn't magically solve radiation, landing, or life support challenges. But if it can bend the rules on travel time and mass, it could quietly rewrite which Mars missions are merely theoretical and which ones become logistically possible. Announcing a nuclear-powered Mars mission is easy. Flying one is where the real physics, politics, and plumbing begin. The mission, SR-1 Freedom, isn't just a reactor bolted to a spacecraft. It's a chain of systems that all have to behave for years, hundreds of millions of kilometers from home. First, the reactor has to go critical and stay stable, feeding a closed Brayton power system that turns fission heat into more than 20 kilowatts of electricity. That power has to run high-voltage electronics and ion thrusters almost nonstop, while giant radiators quietly dump waste heat to the vacuum because there's no air to carry it away. The spacecraft must shield its own avionics from radiation, manage power spikes, juggle temperatures, and ride out faults without a human hand on the controls. And all of that has to be judged safe before it ever leaves the pad. Launching HALEU fuel means modeling not just nominal flight, but what happens if a booster fails, a stage breaks up, or the reactor is subjected to forces it was never meant to see. Approvals have to climb all the way to the White House, and any delay in that chain can quietly push a 2028 launch window into 2029 or beyond. If SR-1 Freedom makes it, the first payoff is hard data, how the reactor, radiators, and thrusters actually age in deep space. The second is precedent.
Okay, first off, I want to tell you guys something. A video I did probably, I don't know, 3 years ago, William, one of my subscribers, took advantage of it. I told him to, I told everybody, invest in the Rolls-Royce division that was making micro-nuclear reactors because they were fixing to sign a contract. This is like in 2022 or 2023, because they were fixing to sign a contract with the English government to produce a micro-nuclear reactor to be deployed on a moon base by 2030 to 2032. Well, to get there, they've got to do nuclear spaceships. And that's why I'm bringing you this report about the nuclear spaceship engine, because it's the next evolution of getting that SMR, or small modular reactor, to a moon base by 2030 to 2032. So they got to test the propulsion systems where we can cut cost of the fuel, because if it's nuclear and they can turn it on and turn it off, the power sources, they can reuse it, which drops the cost of going to space. Elon Musk dropped the cost by 90%, and this nuclear fuel engine should cut the cost by another 70 or 80%, making it very feasible to have back and forth trips to the moon, in which case they will need, for a moon base, a small modular reactor while they're building all this infrastructure in that great crater that has all this water. They'll have to have solar panels set up around the rim of that crater to generate the power necessary to do automated mining for the ice to get the hydrogen and the water for the moon base. But they are also going to need power until then, and also a backup system. That's going to be the micronuclear reactor that Rolls-Royce has already got almost completed. And or by 2028, I think they're going to be ready for delivery to the English government for that moon base. But we'll see on that one. But this technology here is part of that chain of technologies that's needed to make it in outer space. And that's why I've been covering the space industry lightly, but giving you key points. And now it's coming to a point where you can go back and watch my older videos when I talk about spacecraft, and you see the new shit that's coming, and you'll be like, damn, this kid knew what he was talking about.
Regulators, engineers, and suppliers who have done this once and can do it again faster. The third is reach. Mars cargo first, but eventually outer planet missions and deep space power grids that solar panels alone could never support. The open questions now are less about theory than about follow-through. Can NASA hold the schedule, keep the money flowing, clear the safety bar, and turn a one-off experiment into the first chapter of a nuclear fleet? The mission SR-1 Freedom will not send humans to Mars, but it could test a key technology for future missions. If nuclear electric propulsion works in deep space, it may help move cargo and power larger exploration systems. That would make Mars missions more practical, even if the hardest challenges are still ahead.
Yeah, CLRMF, it's going to go up. I don't know, it's like less than 5 cents now. And if you look at the other platinum miners, the first year they were a platinum miner, their stock started out at 5 and then like went up and sustained 20 for a little bit, then went up to 50. And this is the newest platinum miner. They're not actually a platinum miner at this point in time. They're doing the paperwork to convert to a platinum miner. They're just a exploration and development company right now. But they're at like less than 5 cents. And by 2028, they stated that they'll be pulling platinum ore out of the ground, which means they'll have all the paperwork done and they'll have converted to a mining company. And within 2 years of so by 2030, their stock will be about $25 to $30. And you can get it for 5 cents right now. And you're going to be paying 6% dividends, which means every stock that you own at less than 5 cents by 2030, when it's like, say, just keep it simple, say $20. If it pays 6% on $20, that's $1.20 per share that you bought for 5 cents per share. So that means you're making $1.15 off of your investment every year from there on out, depending on the price of stock, and it should go up to about 75 in about 5 to 10 years. So you'll be bankrolling heaven. CLRMF, I've been talking about it a lot. It's going to be pretty much the last big leap in investments that will profit you big time that I'm going to talk about. I don't do crypto, so don't count on me for that. All right, I got one more. Not sure I want to do it because I might get a strike. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel it out. Yeah, look into it. Everyone here that's here right now, CLRMF. I'm telling you, they got 23.5 million shares out there. They're not selling to big businesses, only to smaller smaller retail people like us. And then I challenge you to research Impala and Anglo America, the number 1 and 2 platinum miners on the planet. Just go to their charts, look at their charts, and see what they looked like their first year they were mining, and see what they look like now. I think they're like at 20 right now, and that was like 40 years after they've been around. So for a good 30 years, you're going to be collecting, from 2028 till 2060, you'll be collecting dividend checks off of every share you own off of that company. I'm probably not going to be around much past 2040 or 2050 at the best. But for those people that will be around past 2050, you'll be collecting dividend checks up until you're 2060. And then I'd suggest selling and take your profit from your 5-cent share, sell it at about $20. What is that? That's a 4,000% increase after you've made like 1,000,000% in dividends profit margin. I'm telling you, anyone who buys this, I want Christmas cards. If you buy that stock, it's your first dividend check. Remember who told you to buy it, because no one else is talking about it. Did you see? I guess now would be a better time to do it. Let me get my freaking gem back out. It's not done. It's not a complete model. It's my 6th or 7th pour attempt, because I don't know how to do pours. I'm learning, self-teaching, because I don't have a mentor. And so, it's a little frustrating, but what the hell? What's like? And forgive me for not having a shirt. I don't give a poopy butt. Let me get rid of this. How do I get rid of this? Is that how I get rid of it? Camera, audio, visual effects. None. There we go. All right. Here. This is the gem. The excess is where the pour went. You can see all the facets. It's a 7-carat diamond, and it's got 2 2-millimeter squares for osmium. I have yet to perfect it. It's almost perfected. The lines aren't sharp enough yet. They're still kind of rounded. So I got a little heat problem I need to work on. It'll get a lot nicer than this when I'm done. And then put 2 pieces. I'm going to try and pull this out here where you guys can see it. Don't know if it'll work. Okay, that's the bad side. I'll show you the other side here for this. I need a knife. I'm going to show you these 2-millimeter square. Give me a second here. This little bastard over. Is that the shiny side? Oh yeah, that's the shiny side. All right. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. Can you see that little square right there? It's real small. Maybe get a little fucking wink off of it. Can you see it? That little son of a gun right there. Very small. All right, I gotta make sure to put this down because it's also very light and will blow away in a heartbeat. What's up, Amy? Now I need to get my knife back out. Oh, there's put this up. And I stuck this little 2-millimeter square at the end of that in that gem. It took me a half hour. It's so damn small and I don't have the equipment. Grab small shit. Like right now, it's on the end of this knife. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's on the end of that knife right there. I'm going to stick it in this jar before I lose it. It's like dealing in cocaine, but smaller. It is at the bottom there. That little square. And that's the QR code for it. So you can check on Osmium Institute's line, make sure that your shit's real. And this is the cast I use. As you can see, it's kind of messed up. But that's the one side. And there's the other side. You heat them up to about 1,000 degrees. Pour the metal in. Come up with that. Pure silver, 999. And 2 pieces of crystallized osmium, probably good $900. I'm not sure how much the silver weighs because I don't have a finished product yet. I got 15 grams right there. It'll probably be about 13 grams. But I'll be selling it. I'm probably going to get a ring, like a silver ring, and like weld it on, so that way it'll be like a ring, earring, necklace. You can do lots of things with it. Yeah, it's the design's cool. Also gonna make another business that I can't talk about yet till it happens, because I don't want to steal it. But yeah, I'm doing gems in silver and gold with crystallized osmium on them, so that someone can buy them. And then the great thing about this is you can buy my gem and then turn it into a piece of jewelry and increase the value, and you get that value because you're the one who did it. So it's like, it's a way for people to make money off of buying my shit. Or you can wait till I start a jewelry company, and then you can buy the expensive jewelry. But then you'll definitely see how buying just the gems and creating your own jewelry is basically a family heirloom piece that the family created from a piece of a gem that no one but me will be making. So it'll be long term, it'll get more valuable. And I've done in the past shows on gems and jewelry, and how like Queen Elizabeth's 2 crowns, one of them's worth 1.5 billion and one of them's worth 2.5 billion. But yet 150 years ago, when they were created, they were only worth they only cost like 50 million and 150 million to make. And now, like 150 years later, they're worth billions because they kept them in the family, and they were, new and nice at the time. So if you create your own piece of jewelry by buying my gem designs, you're not going to profit off of it. You're going to be dead in 150 years. But family generational wealth, you'll be doing your family a great deal if you do that. And if you don't give a fuck, everyone's going to be poor eventually, I guess. I'm just creating this to make money for myself and show people that there's an opportunity that they can take what I create and turn it into a piece of jewelry, resell it, no cost on, you can take that gem, $900, buy yourself about $100 silver ring, weld it on there, turn around, sell it for $1,800, make yourself about $800-900 profit margin by buying a gem for $900. Ain't that cool? I'm offering opportunity with my gem sales if the people are intelligent enough to see what I'm offering. Because then I'm going to start my own jewelry business too, and I'll be selling the jewelry, and then you'll be like, hold on, you can buy that for this much, that for this much, but you're selling it for that much? Well, why don't I just buy that and put it together myself? And I'll be like, why don't you? It's what I've been telling you to do, as I'm making money off of people not listening to me. It's tobacco. But anyhow, hope you all be safe out there. Have a good week coming up. I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream. Appreciate y'all showing up. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. What's that? Tobacco. California tobacco. Tobacco that you grind up yourself. Yeah, it's weed, man. Of course it's weed. It's some damn good weed too, because I grew it myself. Yeah, it's good for you. It's totally legal too. The Supreme Court, by the end of this year, if you don't buy any weed stock, you're gonna regret it. because it's going to be legal federally. And when that happens, that opens the floodgates for financial institutions to invest in hemp, THC, CBDC, anything they want. They can throw billions of dollars at that they can't right now. So if there's a weed stock or a marijuana stock out there that's a low value stock in the pennies, it's going to jump because there's going to be billions of dollars by the end of this year. As soon as all these Supreme Court cases get cleaned away and washed out, it's going to be a 3rd degree misdemeanor, class 3. You get more penalty for street jaywalking than you will for smoking weed. But the thing is, people are concentrating on that. What you don't see is tens of billions of dollars are going to flow into that market. Then we're going to start seeing hemp lumber, hemp rope, hemp clothing, hemp bricks. And that whole hemp industry is going to come in America and revolutionize for those people who are on top of that industry. I'd like to be on top of that industry, maybe make some clothing or some bricks myself, have a company. Because here's the advantage of having clothing made out of hemp. When you throw a piece of clothing away made out of hemp and it goes to the dump, for 10 years later, it'll still sequestrate carbon. It will still sequestrate carbon in the dump. Now imagine if our dumps were filled with 40% hemp products. We wouldn't have no problem of any pollution coming out of our dumps because the carbon would be sequestrated by the hemp products that we threw away. But we're not allowed to use hemp products because of a fucked up law that they passed 55, 60 years ago. That's all changing. It's going to change America. It's going to change our industry. It's going to change clothing. It's going to change building. It's going to change a lot of shit. Concrete. Now, how do I know this? Because there's 30 countries out of 185 countries, 186 countries already have a hemp industry infrastructure to make clothing, to make bricks, to make wood that's stronger than wood. Hemp wood is also mold and mildew and fire resistant. So as soon as it becomes legal, guess what's going to happen to the construction industry? Wood homes aren't going to be wood, they're going to be hemp because they'll be stronger, mold resistant, mildew resistant, and fire resistant. So why would you buy a wood house when you can have a hemp house that has all those natural resistances to it? It's a better product, more longevic. Now, if you look at our economy is built on government growth. So when they regulated house building, they regulated it in to have major problems within 10 years to help stimulate the economy and create an industry of the handyman and secondary construction companies to do fixes and improvements, home improvements. Your houses that you're buying today are built for that. As soon as all these regulations go away, we will get products like our grandparents had that last you a lifetime because they were made in America, the best in the world. That changed because of regulation. 1971, we changed our economy to a government growth economy through regulation and tax. That's what most of us are used to. We can't think of another way, but there is, and it's coming. And I'm telling you about it. Get on board. There's a lot of money to be made. A lot of money to be made. Yeah, well, they'll be selling hemp clothes at a lot of places. Yeah, I do Earl Grey tea. I don't do coffee. I do Earl Grey tea with honey and cinnamon and milk because I'm Scottish. And when I lived in Scotland, my family put milk in the tea. So I put milk in the tea because the Sutherlands put milk in the tea. At least they did when I was living with the Sutherlands in our home in Scotland, North Scotland, Sutherland Clan, the Highlands. I'm Highlander. Pedigree Highlander. Minus my dad being German. My mom married the wrong person. Oh, sweet, Amy. Yeah, you guys collect as much silver as possible, sit on it, and don't fucking be one of these lemmings that says, oh, the price is going up, I'm going to sell. Price isn't going up, we shouldn't have bought. Hold on to it. Investments aren't fucking overnight. The best investments take a while. Ask Warren Buffett. And the best investors hold on to the good ones. Ask Warren Buffett. But anyhow, yeah, I'm going to cut this short. We've been here going for an hour and 10 minutes. So yeah, I want to show you guys those few things. Glad you guys hopped on. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will chit chat with you later. Have a great week. God bless America and everyone here. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. Kindness is free. It's the last real free thing out there. Give it. Peace out.